Today was a big day for me on YouTube. I was recommended a video called How to Eat Ass. I don't know why YouTube algorithm recommended this to me. It must have just thought my ass eating game was lacking. I didn't type anything in that would lead to that. I was actually looking up sausage recipes when I first saw it in the recommended tab. So I thought, perhaps this is just a divine sign that I need to step up my rusty trombone playing. And I've decided, let's take a gander. No harm comes from there. I'm no stranger to the art, but there's no reason not to learn a few more techniques, I suppose.
How do I eat ass?
This tutorial is coming at you from Dr. Lindsay over at Sexplanations. I immediately recognized her from an older video where she taught me how to make toy vaginas. Basically just do-it-yourself arts and crafts projects to make fuckable pussies at home.
Step 1, ask your partner if you can. Any interest in me licking your asshole the next time I go down on you? How would you feel if I made out with your butt while you masturbate? Have you ever had a rim job?
The reason why I trust Dr. Lindsay so much, especially when it comes to ass eating, is you could see the passion, feel the passion when she's giving these steps and this advice. This isn't some kind of boring lecture at a university or you're reading out of a textbook, step 1, have you ever had a rim job? There's no soul, there's no flavor in there, but when you get it from Dr. Lindsay, you can really feel the excitement with the question, and I really think that goes a long way.
Step 2, once you have consent, it's time to get ready. Avoid giving anything bad to their asshole and getting anything bad from their asshole.
I initially thought step 2 of getting ready would consist of making yourself presentable for eating ass, putting on your best suit, your most prized fedora, putting some pop rocks in your mouth so that way when you're licking the butthole it starts to tingle a little bit, which just adds to the sensation and the thrill ride. But actually what she goes over is the diseases that can come from eating ass and, making sure you're aware to avoid those things. Equally helpful advice, but also make sure you're wearing a suit when eating ass.
Step 3, set a time. I'm sure you don't want to go down on someone and find a dingleberry of poop and pubes stuck in your teeth. So if you're the one with the asshole, watch your bowel movements.
I like how she says if you're the one with the asshole, as if the person who's licking the asshole no longer has their anus anymore, so now they're just like lost loved, looking to lick as many buttholes as they can, just trying to remember their own asshole that they lost somehow. I know that's not how she means it, but that's how I like to imagine it. Obviously what she's talking about is just being aware, making sure that the spider web of asshole hair doesn't accidentally catch a little bit of colon chocolate in there before analingus. Makes sense.
Shower and wash your whole butt with soap, especially the anus and all those little crevices that make it look like a star. Stay outside though, don't go inside. Then make sure to rinse off all the soap. Trim, shave, or wax your pubes if you choose, and wash again. If you're the one with the mouth, how about nothing spicy to eat that's going to burn the anus if you lick it directly? And for hygiene's sake, clean your mouth.
All solid advice, nothing that caught me by surprise, nothing I didn't already know. Obviously, if you're going to be sucking on the old septic tank, make sure it's at least as clean as it can possibly be. Last thing you'd want to do in that situation is start licking a loaded gun down there and start tasting some foul shit in your mouth. When ass is eaten properly and all precautions are taken beforehand, it should be flavorless and feel like you're licking an old man's elbow.
Step 4, acquire some dams for a layer of protection. They reduce the risk of all the bugs I mentioned earlier and cover up the smell and taste of asshole. And non-microwavable cling wrap.
Yeah, this step's going to be optional for a decent chunk of people, I imagine. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of people in the heat of the moment being like, hold on a second, I'm going to go grab the cling wrap.
Step 5, with all preparation in place, play. Play with all sorts of body parts, kiss, massage, whatever it takes to get all riled up before. Step 6, when you lightly blow on the asshole. The blowing will not only light up this sensitive spot, it will waft the smell toward you so you can evaluate whether or not you want to proceed.
Yeah, that was new information for me, so this is basically what I needed from the video, some new insight. I'd never even thought of this scientific test to evaluate whether or not the ass has been properly, prepared, like a fine Thanksgiving turkey with enough time in the oven, is it a good turkey? The simple asshole blowing test seems, speaking just from common sense, I imagine to be really effective. If you blow on a dirty butthole, it's going to smell like shit. It's going to smell like a dirty butthole. It'll smell like you're just blowing a fart in your face, and you don't want to be sucking in a fart. So then you just say, hey, look, I see that you didn't give it enough time to marinate. You didn't take the precautions seriously. We're going to have to reschedule this analingus appointment.
If everything is a green light, move on to Step 7, add lube and put a dam in place. Add enough lube to keep things soft, but not so much that the anus thinks it's leaking.
This is making this whole operation sound like a Tom Clancy game right now, like a stealth mission to fool the anus. You don't want to use too much lube, using too much lube, and you get like a fucking mission failed. You have like the little Metal Gear Solid thing go off, and then all of a sudden, like, mission failed, ass thinks it's shitting.
Don't literally eat ass. Unless your partner is into a poking feeling out of nowhere. Spreading the cheeks and going straight in for asshole can feel quite jarring. I personally associate it with a pelvic exam or a wedgie.
That makes sense. You don't want to just get right up in there, just go full throttle and scare the person. It makes sense to approach with care.
Once you're at the site, think licking, gentle sucking, kissing, and tickling. Even making contact and not moving at all can be incredibly arousing. The anus is densely packed with nerve endings. It's part of a concentrated area of erogenous tissue, and it's slightly taboo. So there's a thrilling adventure in doing something pleasurable that society tells us not to.
That statement right there kind of dates the video. The times they have changed, haven't they, Dr. Lindsay? Society's telling us all the time, you got to eat ass. It's like one of the most popular sayings around at the moment. But this video came out 3 years ago, I believe, so it's a little behind the curve right now. I mean, you can't blame it. It's a product of its time. But they have shifted, and now it's all about ass eating. Also, people that suck on asshole, those are gamblers right there. They're taking a big risk with low reward. Like, best case scenario, you sucked on a butthole, but worst case scenario, you suck in like a fart or a bunch of shit or something. Like, you're really rolling the dice. Rarely will you have a doctor recommend gentle sucking on a butthole. Like that right there. I mean, you're flying real close to the sun, and you better hope your wings don't burn up when you're in that territory. Because I tell you what, that would be an utter disaster.
Step 9, check in. Come up for air and ask your partner questions. More? Wetter? Deeper? You could ask them open-ended questions like, how is it? But getting a yes or no answer means you're not caught up in conversation when they likely want your mouth getting back to business.
Yeah, just getting smothered by ass and just fighting your way through the cheeks to come up for air and say, hey, I don't think you took cleaning seriously, my mouth's on fire.
Step 10, enjoy yourself. Step 11, wash your mouth and face afterward. Step 12, then stay curious. Have the longer conversation about what it was like.
Those are the 12 steps to eating ass, and I gotta say, I mean, it all makes sense. 100%, I agree with Dr. Lindsay's take on the whole thing. I just don't really understand why it was recommended to me when I was looking up food recipes, but I'll fucking take it. I really enjoyed it, and I thought that was a very insightful look, and again, I learned all about the asshole blowing technique, which I would have never even thought to do. So, that's about it. So, yeah. Yeah, today's one of those days. Just like chips and salsa at a Super Bowl party, I'm about to double dip in here into some drama. Last week, I made a video talking about hypocrisy. In a nutshell, the situation was two YouTubers, Scott Schaefer and MewKitty, made content talking about Twitch streamers being hypocrites due to the promotion of Fansly during the Streamer Awards, and I was named in both of these videos, because prior to this, I had mentioned that it was very weird when Aiden Ross pulled up Pornhub on stream in front of his audience, which consists of a lot of kids, and meanwhile, when Fansly was advertised during the Streamer Awards, I just laughed at it. So that's where the hypocrisy allegations come from. That's the genesis of it. And I thought it was an interesting talking point because of the subject matter, but I also wanted to defend myself from hypocrisy allegations that I felt were weightless, and that's what that video I made was all about. Now, Scott Schaefer, as I mentioned, tackled it from more of like a analytical standpoint, breaking down the problem itself, and I still do believe that his intentions are coming from a place of actually caring about the situation. However, the same can't be said about the other content creator, MewKitty. In the video I made covering this, I was very charitable with her intentions behind the content. I thought maybe I was wrong and got the incorrect impression on what her content was focused on. I thought it was satirical and ironic and trying to be silly on purpose with subject matter. And I apologized for saying things that may have come across mean-spirited or made it sound like I was shitting on her when that really wasn't my intention. Especially considering we're both playing on the same team, I feel like we're both saying these things are bad. And for some reason, she's at my throat about it because of one difference in that I think showing Pornhub to the audience was worse. Not that that excuses the Fansly promotion, which again, I have never once defended or said was a good thing, but this slight difference in perspective on it has led to all of this hostility. And I tried to explain that in the last video because I thought maybe there was just a misunderstanding there, but she took the last video as more of a declaration of war. And another thing I want to come forward with right away, and I didn't think this needed explaining either, one of the core points that she as well as others are making is that this is actually a very insidious plot that I'm hiding on purpose because Ludwig is my friend and QT Cinderella is his girlfriend. QT Cinderella ran the Streamer Awards, she was responsible for the Fansly promotion. So people were saying that I'm, excusing everything she did because she's Ludwig's girlfriend. And I didn't think this needed explaining. This is going to be a common thing. I didn't think a lot of this needed explaining, but I'll do it anyway. I've now said in like 5 videos over the last 5 months, I don't see eye to eye with anyone all the time, even my best friends. So, Even though I do respect QT, and of course I respect Ludwig, I consider them friends, I didn't see eye to eye with QT on this. Thus, I wasn't going to pretend like I did and defend it. I don't do that for anyone, not even my best friends. This wasn't some kind of secret association that was kept under wraps. I'm very public about Ludwig and I being business partners with fucking Moist Esports, for example, and we do a lot together. But it doesn't mean that I'm just going to look the other way on things that I feel differently about. I don't do that for him either. It's not just QT. I have actually talked about things I disagree with Ludwig on publicly as well. This isn't like some kind of big gotcha where it's like, it turns out Charlie does know QT. This is why he didn't say anything. That's just not the truth. And I did say it wasn't good. And now it's become clear after her most recent upload, as well as everything she's been posting on Twitter about me, that little yucky spidey sense that was tingling in the back of my head telling me that she's probably just trolling to get a rise out of streamers to farm it for personal gain was unfortunately correct. And I'll go ahead and take the bait one more time here. I'll play along and eat this entree of medium well internet beef that she's serving up. She's been egging me on Twitter today to debunk all 20 lies she's caught me on in her most recent video. So I'll accept the challenge. I'll take the cinnamon challenge here and go through MewKitty's most recent upload, Moist Hypocritical Can't Stop Lying.
If you're coming here to see me troll around, I can't anymore, because Hypocritical lied so much about me and the situation
Put her money where her mouth is.
that I was forced to re-edit my whole video and now debunk every single lie that was made.
Obviously, I immediately owe a huge apology to MewKitty and her whole community because my video was such a stinker that it's impeded her ability to make her regularly scheduled trolling. But I do want to come out right away and say that her calling me hypocritical, the play on words, hippo and then critical spelled like my name, is actually such a banger because that is a meme that started on my stream like 6 years ago when I was still streaming on YouTube. I was playing Fortnite and I had bought the battle pass for the John Wick skin. And chat fucking erupted when they saw me playing with it because I had for a long time talked about what a big waste of money the battle pass is. You're a fucking troglodyte if you buy the battle pass. And then fucking John Wick skin comes out, it busts down my resolve and I spent money on it. So chat called me hypocritical just like this. And it became a bit of a meme. So to see her unironically use it here is almost nostalgic to a certain extent, but she's clearly using it to be combative as opposed to like jovial and kidding around.
Everybody, including me, is tired of this subject, on him defending promotion of porn to kids. But
we're not even 30 seconds into this video and she's already told her first lie, which is ironic. It almost makes her seem like the hypocrite here. She says that I have defended the promotion of porn to kids. Do you have any evidence to back that up? Do you have a clip of me saying that what QT Cinderella did with promoting Fansly during the Streamer Awards is good? Defending it in any way? Because as far as I can recall, I have only ever said that it's not a good decision. And that as well as Pornhub that Aiden Ross brought up on stream are both bad. I've never once said that what she did was good or defended it, or defended her for the decision to do it. But she likes to tell her audience that I have, without ever showing any clips of me doing it. Because it hasn't happened. That is a blatant, bold-faced lie.
first lie manipulates the narrative that he already said both are bad. But that clip happened after my video, when his own fans has pressed him for 1 week for saying nothing.
And on stream I talked about this last night. And I'll go ahead and get this out of the way right away. During that stream, and in the exact same video MewKitty has posted on one of her channels, I outright say both are bad.
He never say outright both are bad. All the streams is on my second channel. He defended himself and argued with his viewers for 10 minutes. And after a long battle, he said it's not a great decision, but never said both are bad.
This is a pretty interesting angle to try and play here, trying to catch me on not saying verbatim both are bad until the video went live. Even though I had explicitly said that it wasn't a good decision, which you outright acknowledge in this clip here in your video, and the point I was making in the last video is in that same piece of content you posted on your second channel proudly, I do say it is not a good decision. I don't understand why she's trying to make this argument here, acting like her whole audience has their brain off and can't understand what it means when I say something is not a good decision. That means it's not good, thus is bad. And since I'm talking about the QT Cinderella Fansly promotion moment, that is me saying it is bad. Same way I was saying the Aiden Ross Pornhub moment was bad. And I'd actually like to cannonball into the deep end of this pool a little bit and swim around a little more and explore it, because I didn't think this would be necessary. I thought we were all able to deduce human emotion, but it seems like a lot of her arguments are going to pretend like everyone is an actual bot and can't, like, think. So I'm just going to over-explain everything. She makes it seem like I never outright said anything or condemned the Fansly promotion during the Streamer Awards or called it weird or anything at all. I was just completely tight-lipped, radio silent, keeping a secret like I had Fairly Odd Parents and I didn't want to tell anyone. When that's just not the case. During the Fansly promotional moment, I laughed at it. Now, let me ask you, what would I be laughing at, if not the absurdity of a Fansly promotion being on Twitch? Scott Schaefer seemed to understand what the joke I was laughing at was, which was the wild nature of a Fansly ad being played.
And when the ad for Fansly actually came up during the Streamer Awards, you can see he actually lets out a little laugh, and it seems like he's at least somewhat uncomfortable that this type of content was being promoted during the Streamer Awards.
For exclusive behind-the-scenes content and a free trial of some of our hottest creators. On top of that, sign in using your Twitch account and see which is your...
Did I just get a little tickle from under the desk or something? There is nothing to laugh about there, except for the absurdity of the situation. I didn't think that needed explanation, so I didn't even bother in the last one, but it's something she seems to harp on that I never made any indication that I found it uncomfortable or weird. And to go a step further, in the following stream or the stream after, in one of the days following the Streamer Awards, someone in chat had asked me if I thought it was weird that Fansly was advertised during it, and I point blank said yes. And this is actually faster than I called out Aiden Ross in the Pornhub moment. The clip that she plays, as well as the other people have played as well, is from a video I made called Aiden Ross Just Got Banned. Maybe you've heard of him over the last week or so because he also just freely streamed porn on Kick. The astute listeners will have heard something very crucial there. I had said, over the last week, you may have heard of this. It had been about a week since the Aiden Ross Pornhub Armageddon moment, and I had only mentioned it for around 50 seconds of this 11-minute video, which was focused on something else entirely. I just mentioned it because I was talking about a lot of the goofy things he had done recently. So I was just talking about it briefly, and it had taken me a week to even mention it. So I was actually faster to call the QT Fansly promotion weird than I was to call the Aiden Ross Pornhub situation weird. I didn't just ignore it. That is just a blatant lie. However, I don't want to be guilty of the same sin MewKitty's already committed of making a claim without any evidence to back it up, where she said at the beginning of this video that I defended the promotion of porn to minors, which is a sickening thing to even say, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because I cannot provide the clip of where I replied to chat about the Fansly promotion being weird because I don't fucking feel like combing through 14 hours worth of streams the day and the day after the Streamer Awards went live. I really don't feel like going through it, so since I'm not providing the video evidence for it, I'm not going to use this as a point in my defense. So going forward, we're going to work under the assumption that I never said anything publicly about it on stream, and the only indication I made to condemning it or that I thought it was bad was when I laughed at it during the moment.
Which is weeks after the call out.
Pretty clear from reading her comments, not like her personal comments, but like the audience comments, that the majority of the people didn't even watch the full statement. There must be a ghost in the machine of this lie counter on screen because it's going wacko mode. I don't know what's being counted as lies here because her points haven't changed, yet the counter is going up. I'm guessing it's because she's trying to say that the timeline condemns me. It had been about a week before I responded to her video, so my speed to the response was suboptimal. I didn't, get there like the fucking Power Rangers in time to talk about it. The explanation there should be pretty obvious to any sentient human being out there. I didn't see it until a couple days before I talked about it on stream. I had meant to talk about it the next day, but I forgot. I don't remember why, and I apologize. Maybe I should have talked about it the very second that I had finished watching it, but I forgot. And then the following day or whatever, when the MewKitty's community kept spamming it, I did get a little upset because I just don't like spam and I was already talking about other things. So yes, I did get a little upset about the spam. And I do apologize for that. That's just something that always grinds my fucking ass. I don't like spam, but I'm being completely genuine. I actually don't understand what the point she's making here is. That I was slow to respond to it, thus I'm guilty, I guess. I don't really think that's a very strong point.
The next lie is also very important, and it's done many times, where he words, I didn't do the exact same statement, when he didn't do any any statement at all.
Thus, I disagree that it's hypocritical that I made statements about Aiden Ross and the porn thing being really weird, and I didn't make the exact same statements for QT Cinderella's Fansly sponsor. What? I don't actually really get what you're saying with this one. Is it an issue with the way I laid out the situation? In the clip you played, I'm just laying out the situation where people were upset that I had made a statement about Aiden Ross and streaming Pornhub to be weird, and then didn't turn around and make the exact same statement for QT Cinderella and the Fansly promotion. Was the issue me saying exact same? The word exact? Was that the problem? The pressure point? Because if so, I mean, I guess we can dive into that a bit. Maybe we need to start with a definition of hypocrisy, I suppose. So again, this whole video I made was just defending me from the hypocrisy allegations, not minimizing the actual subject matter, which I find to be a pretty important talking point. It was just defending myself from claims of hypocrisy. So I tackled it by pointing out that the Aiden Ross Pornhub situation and the QT Fansly situation were different, albeit both bad, and do have similar elements to them. So in this section where I said I didn't say the exact same thing, I'm highlighting that when people were criticizing me, they're talking about me not making like a whole video talking about the QT Fansly promotion, I believe. So that's what that was my definition of exact same. And I'll clear up confusion. I didn't make a whole video about the Aiden Ross Pornhub thing either. That was 50 seconds of an 11-minute video that was unrelated to that. And I did mention that the QT thing was weird. So in order for the situation to have been hypocritical, I would have needed to shit all over Aiden Ross and call it the worst thing in the world, get the pitchfork out because he showed the Pornhub moment, and meanwhile, pat QT Cinderella on the back and defend it, applaud it, say that the Fansly promotion is totally fine. That would have been hypocritical, and I was arguing that since that wasn't the case, it wasn't. Like, the word exact wasn't really a core part of anything I was discussing. Now, I would like to, however, throw her a life raft on a point here, because I do think there is valid criticism of me here. I've said this for a long time. No one is above criticism. Of course, that includes me as well. I do think that maybe I didn't come out hard enough against it, so maybe that led to a lot of confusion on how I felt about it. With Aiden Ross, I didn't make a whole video talking about the Pornhub thing he did. It was a very small piece of a bigger video. So I never made a video about that, but QT Cinderella situation I only ever mentioned on stream, and I think only like one time. So even though I didn't make a whole video on the Aiden Ross Pornhub thing, it was pretty clear how I felt about it, whereas QT Cinderella, if you weren't watching the stream, it's possible that you didn't understand where I stood. So I do think that is a valid criticism where I didn't make it clear enough where I was at with it, and I think that would have been a good point to make. However, it's not hypocritical, because at no point have I ever defended it, and I wouldn't defend it either. So I still disagree entirely with any of it being even remotely hypocritical, but I do, however, agree that I should have made it clearer where I stood on the whole situation.
He keeps pushing on this narrative that we missed the clip that proves he's not a hypocrite, but the clip is after my video, the day before this video. So he uses the word prove, which in the viewer's minds means that he is proving something, but the clip is after my video. Guys, do you understand?
I was saying, I'll go ahead and prove that it's there right now, real quick, before getting into why, of course, advertising Fansly, OnlyFans, or anything in front of an audience that has younger children on it, it's always going to be not a great decision. It's one of the...
Imagine how many people fell for this. Look at Asmongold's reaction.
I don't understand. What? I'm being left more confused than the first time I watched Inception when I was but a young whippersnapper. What is the point you're making here? All I was saying is a lot of the comments were calling me out for never even saying that it was bad, which is just wrong, and why I said you must have missed the clip, so I just proved that it is in that clip that is already on your fucking channel. That is what I was saying, is that I did say that QT Cinderella and OnlyFans or Fansly promotion is not a good decision. That is me calling it bad. So I was just saying that you might have missed it, and I was just proving that it is there in the content you posted. I did say it. That's the only thing I was saying. This has nothing to do with a timeline. This was talking about the people that were saying I never even said it was bad, when I did.
from the false lens. He then lies about Fansly having a lot of obstacles.
So I viewed the advertisement very differently than a lot of people because even when you scan the QR code, you still don't immediately get porn. There's already a lot of degrees of separation and a lot of obstacles to go through.
What happens? This is crazy that this website is being promoted in front of hundreds of thousands of children because as soon as I go to the homepage, I am instantly greeted with an open vagina despite the account being underage.
This is the most disgustingly manipulative part of her entire video here because if she goes forward in this clip, I then go on to say that I didn't have the knowledge that Fansly wasn't secure and that it didn't actually have any safeguards in place to prevent under 18-year-olds from accessing the content on its site. I was under the assumption that there was ID verification and a lot of obstacles in order to go through in order to set up your account. In that video that she is playing, I said that these things turned out to be false, and I was wrong, that it is actually easy for anyone to have an account there that is underage and access the content. But I didn't know that prior. Now, the whole point I was making with this statement, this section here, is that there is still a degree of separation between Aiden Ross just bringing up full-blown porn, we're talking fully penetrative fucking goat seed porn on stream versus the Fansly advertisement, which had no nudity at all. The point I was making is they were different in that they weren't just the exact same thing done by two different people. Granted, they are both sexual content for sure. The Fansly advertisement was not full-blown porn right in the viewer's face right off rip. Thus, I was arguing it is different. Now, it's very clear to me MuteKitty has never even bothered to do the bare minimum of scanning that QR code during the Fansly advertisement. She's using a different video to try and make her point for her without doing even just a little bit of work. If you scan that QR code, I'll show you exactly what happens. This is the first thing that pops up. This is like the peanut butter and jelly of safeguards, the most inefficient shit ever. Are you 18? Yes or no, basically. But this is already something that contradicts a lot of what people were saying, where there was no 18 plus at all. If you scan the QR code, you immediately get fucking porn. That is not true. That's not a point MuteKitty was making, but I do want to address that. It's not like you just scanned that and immediately got porn. You did have this same safeguard that apparently Kick has, that a lot of people said is why the Aiden Ross situation is actually not as bad as this, because at least there was an 18 plus warning. Well, there is an 18 plus warning here too, so they're very similar in that regard. Now, once you enter, you're still not getting porn. You then go to this like Twitter thing. It's like some kind of Fansly Twitter thing, where if you scroll down, you still don't get porn. You get their little red carpet interview moments. Then, if you go to the very first link there, then you go to the actual Fansly site, and once again, you still don't get nudity. Now, the pictures are more sexual, but still, the nudity is blurred out. In order to actually access the porn, you have to claim the subscription and then make an account or sign in with Twitch. There is a lot more you have to go to get the porn out of the Fansly advertisement versus the Aiden Ross just pulling up the porn as a jump scare in front of the entire fucking audience out of nowhere. That's the point I was making. These are two very different situations, but did have commonality that makes them both bad. But I still believe the Aiden Ross one is worse. You don't immediately get the porn from the Fansly advertisement, and it's not exactly 2 clicks away, but it is still extremely easy to access and has no real age verification in place to ensure that your account is 18 plus. If you sign in with Twitch, it just kind of fucking takes them at their word, like, Scout's honor, you're 18 plus, I believe you, and then gives you the porn, which is a problem. That is an issue, and that was not knowledge I had prior to the whole situation here. I was under the impression that no kids could really access it due to like actual safeguards that would ensure only 18 plus were using it, like an ID check or something. But that is not the case, which is why I've admitted I was wrong about it. But they are still two very different situations where you don't immediately get porn out of the Fansly advertisement versus literally getting shown porn with the Aiden Ross moment. But that does not excuse the QT Fansly promotion. It is still bad. We are on the same side. I don't know why she can't see this.
He lies about now saying a statement immediately, which indicates to the viewer that he did say one, when he never did. God, when he just said that anyone can access and you only need your Twitch account.
Is completely different than an advertisement to a platform which does have porn, but a lot of things that they'd have to do in order to access it.
He then ends the video with saying neither is great.
Classic MuteKitty. She leaves out the part in that video where I admit I was wrong about not knowing how easy it was to access. Because it helps her point if she leaves that shit out. I said it in the video, I've just addressed it again here. There are more things you have to go through in order to access porn from the Fansly advertisement, as opposed to Aiden Ross just putting the porn right in your fucking face and shaking it around, but neither are good. I also was under the assumption that Fansly was only accessible to 18 plus after you verified your age. I don't use the platform. I thought you had to verify you were 18 plus in order to even get to the pornographic content. Thus, I thought it was even harder for children to have got porn out of that advertisement if they weren't of age. Not only would they have had to leave the platform to get it, they would then have to verify their age and make an account for it. I thought there was a lot of steps to it, making it very difficult for them. But according to some research now, it actually seems like Fansly is extremely easily accessible for anyone of any age. There's not a whole lot of security to it based on the things I've read, which is knowledge I didn't have last night. Super weird that she just happened to have left out that part where I openly admit that I was wrong about the ease of access to the porn, where I admit that I completely was on the wrong assumption as to how difficult it was to access all of it. I'm sure she didn't mean to exclude it on purpose. It probably wasn't malicious. She might have just overlooked it.
But he only called out one, which is the point. But he still doesn't think he's a hypocrite. This is the best example of a hypocrite in denial. Both are bad, or in other words, neither is great, if the only one he called out was a stranger and the one he didn't was his business partner. Guys, how is this hard to understand?
I'm getting more and more tempted just to comb through the goddamn streams for 14 fucking hours to find the part where I do say that the QT Fansly promotion was weird after replying to chat, but I'm not going to be petty about it. We're going again to continue to push forward without that. Even still, me laughing at it I do think is pretty obvious, but we're going to throw that to the side as well. Even still, we'll throw both of those aside. I am saying it's bad. I have now talked more about how bad QT's family promotion is than the Aiden Ross porn situation, Mew Kitty. Like, I don't know how much clearer to make it. There isn't some deeper plot thread here. I thought I made it clear. I was wrong. I didn't make it clear enough where I stood on it. That's fine. That's a legitimate criticism you can have of me. But it is not hypocritical because I have never defended it. I have never applauded it, and I've never tried to bury it or anything or hide my feelings on it. I thought it was clear and I was wrong. But I am saying, and I've said a million times now, it's not good. It's not. Like, you are making an issue out of nothing. We are on the same team, and you are dragging this on, and it is getting absolutely fucking shameless now.
He says I don't like his content. Big lie. I've never said this.
Something that I'm
genuinely upset with him when I've never expressed anything against him.
Statements, and I also did say I'm not the biggest fan of the way she edits her content. Boy howdy, this is a bunch of hullabaloo nonsense points now. I'll go ahead and openly admit maybe I'm wrong on that first point there where I said she doesn't like my content. Maybe you're a huge fan of the content. I guess I could be wrong. I was making an educated guess based on the way that you talk about me on Twitter and in the comments section. But I guess I could be wrong. Maybe you absolutely love my shit. Maybe you're a huge fan of the Moist Wrestling League. I don't know. I guess you're right. I didn't know for sure. I was just reading between the lines of everything you've been saying about me and posting about me. The next point is about her being upset. I assumed she was passionate about the topic, but maybe that was the wrong thing to assume. Maybe she's only ever treated this like fake outrage. I gave her the benefit of the doubt that she actually cared about the subject, so I assumed she would be upset if she genuinely thought I was defending it. So I guess I was wrong about that. Maybe she doesn't care about any of this, and this is all just a big game to troll for her. So yeah, I guess I could have been wrong there too, for sure. I'll admit that could have been the wrong assumption to make. And then line number 11 had me really scratching my head here, and then calling it an ego thing. It was part of an apology to you, because I said on stream that I really didn't like the way you edited the content. I called it Zoomer editing, and I said that sounded mean-spirited when I didn't mean it to. I just meant that it's not my personal cup of tea. I've never been one to really like huge amount of sound effects and a lot of crazy effects and sounds and music going on. And I said I didn't really like it, and it came across mean-spirited, so I apologized. I wanted to make sure that you didn't feel like I was insulting you personally, like I fucking hated you, just because I didn't like the editing. I don't know what the lie is here. I was being honest. I still don't like the editing. That's just me being honest. That's not a lie. I don't really know what this part here is. I just can't even understand there's a real debate. I know Mew Kitty's really upset.
He starts lying about me saying Aiden Ross did the exact same thing, when I've never said that?
I'd like her to put her money where her mouth is. If she really thinks that the Aiden Ross Pornhub situation is exactly the same as the QT Cinderella one, then I want her in her next video. Again, I could be fully wrong here about her being upset. She had made 3 tweets about me within like 2 hours right before I went live. So to me, it sounded like she was passionately upset about this whole situation. And like I said, if she was actually caring about the subject, I feel she'd have every right to if she really believed that I was defending it and okay with it. So again, I could have been wrong. Now, I like how she cuts off what I was about to say there because I still think this is something very important. Her video has me in it, side by side with my Aiden Ross statement where I said it was weird that he pulled up porn to his viewers that had kids watching, versus me laughing at QT pulling up the porn advertisement to viewers that had kids watching. So, what everyone inferred, including myself, is that she was saying these situations are the same and Moist Critical is a hypocrite because he called the Aiden Ross thing weird, but didn't say it was weird when QT did it. That is the assumption I and everybody else who saw that video made. Pretty much everyone who watched your video interpreted that moment as you saying that Charlie said Aiden Ross Pornhub moment was weird, but didn't have that same energy or say the QT Fansly promotion was weird. Thus, he is a hypocrite. So my point was, if this is what you were saying, and it seemed to me and most people that it was what you were saying, that these are the same thing, and thus Charlie is a hypocrite, then I said, put your money where your mouth is, and in your next video, play the Aiden Ross uncensored, unedited Pornhub moment, and then play the QT Cinderella Fansly promotion unedited, uncensored, and we'll see how closely related they are. See if they really are the exact same situation. And I was saying, I don't think you'd do that. And for good reason, because the Aiden Ross Pornhub moment's gonna get you banned because it's fucking porn, whereas the QT Fansly promotion has nothing sexually super explicit, no nudity. I played that entire advertisement in my last video and it was totally fine. That one is a safe to watch thing that links to things that are not safe for minors to watch, which is bad. That is not good, but it is not exactly the same situation as Aiden Ross bringing up Pornhub, and that's what I thought and most people thought you were saying with your video with me at the end. So I challenged you to prove that you felt that way by playing both of these uncensored and unedited side by side to prove if you really felt they were exactly the same. You have now kind of backpedaled on that, or maybe we were all wrong and that's not exactly what you're saying. I guess that's totally possible as well. But I think we can all recognize that what Aiden Ross did is not the exact same thing QT Cinderella did with the Fansly promotion, but it does not excuse the Fansly promotion. I hate that I have to keep hammering that home now, but I'm going to keep saying it because it apparently needs to be made abundantly clear.
Then he lies about saying both are bad and called one much weirder, which indicates that he called cuties weird when he never did.
I don't know how many times I have to say they're both bad, but one's definitely worse, which is why I called it much weirder.
And that is why everybody's calling him out.
But one is definitely worse, which is why I called it much weirder and much quicker. Once again, this is referring to the situation after all of this had happened, where I had now said 1,000 fucking times that the QT Fansly promotion is weird too, but the Aiden Ross Pornhub one is much weirder. Right? That's what I'm saying. This is all post-game now. After all of this has blown over, this is that stream right after all of this, I said that it is weird, and that the Aiden Ross one is still much weirder. I don't know what's getting lost here.
And one of the most biggest lies is that he said that it was not good and he was uncomfortable when he saw the ad on Streamer Awards. This never happened.
As opposed to laughing, and then saying that, yeah, that was uncomfortable and not good.
Let me prove it for the lazy ones.
Sign in using your Twitch account and see which of your favorite streamers are all.
I have to imagine she's doing this on purpose. It is just going in circles. Laughing at it, I still think, is pretty clear. I am laughing at the absurdity of it, and that it is weird, silly, uncomfortable, and all of the things I have said about it since. That's what I'm saying with calling it uncomfortable. All the things I have said about it since. Like, I don't know where things are going so awry here.
He then keeps on lying that there is an 18 verification when he just admitted in his video that he posted that there isn't.
He's saying there's no 18 plus tag on the Fansly ad where it's kicking you off to verify being 18. Yeah, but on the actual porn website, you have to verify being 18. So if we're going to talk about verification, then you would still need to verify you're 18 to see the porn with Fansly. I thought you had to verify you were 18 plus in order to even get to the pornographic content, but according to some research now, it actually seems like Fansly is extremely easily accessible for anyone of any age. There's not a whole lot of security to it based on the things I've read, which is knowledge I didn't have last night. Still need to verify you're 18 to see the porn with Fansly. Hey, there we go. MewKitty finally came around to playing the rest of that clip where I admit that I got a lot of the information wrong about how easily accessible Fansly is, which contradicts a couple of the lies she pointed out earlier. I'm glad she finally shoehorned it in at the very end. Now, maybe I shouldn't use the word verify here, but I did just pull up on screen what happens when you scan the code. You have to confirm that you are 18 by hitting enter, which is the same thing Kick had. The whole context of that situation was people saying Kick had the 18 plus verification just to watch the stream. And I was saying, well, by that metric, Fansly had the same safeguard, where you still had to hit 18 to enter. I shouldn't have used the word verification, I should have used safeguard, because it's not verification. That was an absolutely wrong word to use there, and I fully own up to that. That was not the correct word to use, but it was on the fly and we were heated, so I used the wrong word and fumbled it. It was a safeguard. Kick didn't have an 18 verification either. It was, are you 18 to start watching? Yes. Which is the exact same thing that Fansly had. Are you 18 to go to this next page? Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's the whole context there.
He then keeps on brainwashing the narrative that he didn't do it immediately when he never did anything. It's a lie, guys.
And then the one I didn't talk about immediately after happened.
And now he lies again and said that it was kind of weird when I just proved that he didn't.
Immediately after happened, I laughed and then said later, wow, that was kind of weird. I don't know how many times she's going to make the exact same statement and chalk it up to a new lie. This is getting ridiculous now. For the 50th fucking time, she keeps saying that I didn't make a statement. I have now made 2 full videos about this whole situation saying the same thing, that it's inexcusable bad, not good, suboptimal, not great, awful, uncomfortable, yucky, stinky. That's what I'm talking about. I've said that a ton of times now. The initial laugh I thought was clear from the get-go at what I was laughing at, but I guess not. I forgot we're in the age of Twitter where you have to end everything with like a / sarcasm or something to give like your tone indicators so everyone fully fucking understands what's going on in a situation. But regardless, I recognize I may not have made it clear enough, which is where confusion could have arisen. But I don't know why she's still pretending like I've somehow defended this. I have never defended it, ever. And I have now talked about this so much more than I've talked about the Aiden Ross situation, which I still believe was worse, no matter how you try and spin it. Like, this is getting absolutely absurd.
He then lies about me harping on him and bringing him up. I think this is to make his fans defend him, but I never harped on him.
That's her whole point. Why does she keep bringing me up and harping on me? Because I laughed at it. Oh my god, another completely useless empty calorie here. Harping, maybe the wrong word. You posted about me, I think 8-9 times now on Twitter, and you made like 6 or 7 YouTube comments. So yeah, it felt like you were really harping on it.
Now that I've shown how much he lies, I'm gonna touch on why he's a hypocrite. Same thing happened when they tried to scam their fans with overpriced computers. He only changed when they exposed him. Then suddenly criticism exists. Incident, the owner of Starforge, which he is a co-owner of, he never mentioned his name in the video. Is that a coincidence? Well, when Rich Campbell got kicked out of OTK, he didn't make a video on that either. So I see a pattern, and I called it out.
Yes, of course. No MewKitty video is complete without piling a ton of dog shit lies right at the end. So there's a lot here, and I'll unpack them all real quick. So immediately she pulls the gloves off and starts spitting and shitting. She calls Starforge PCs a scam, or insinuates that it was scamming its customers, which is fucking wild because pretty much no one thinks that way. Linus Tech Tips fucking reviewed it and had an overwhelmingly positive review for the most part. He had legitimate criticism that we took to heart, appreciated, and used to better the company and the product. But no one really has anything negative to say about it because Starforge PCs is a legitimate passion project that aims to actually provide the best value, the best computers you can possibly find on the market. This is starting to sound like a fucking ad, but it is the truth. She's referring to our rocky launch, and we all admit the launch of Starforge wasn't swimming. It didn't go super smooth. And that's just the sad reality of it, and it's something that we deeply regret, but we used it to improve it and fix it, and now It is just the best that there is on the market. But she then tries to draw a parallel between Starforge and OTK, more specifically Mizkif. Mizkif last year fell into some hot water with a whole sexual assault cover-up scandal, and she pulls out a video saying that it's curious that I didn't mention Mizkif in it. Must be because he's one of the co-owners of Starforge PC. Well, that's fucking weird, because she pulled a video where I just wasn't talking about that situation in general. The video where I did talk about it was a totally unrelated one. So I'll go ahead and play the clip where I do mention it and say that I'm giving proper respect to the victim due to the severity of the case, because normally with internet drama, I'm just covering the wacky and goofy shit, and sexual assault is nothing wacky and goofy. That's fucking horrifying. Here's the clip. So let's just go ahead and start with Twitch, since I already made that video breaking it all down, and a lot's changed and a lot's evolved since then. So I briefly mentioned a very serious that happened on Twitch involving sexual assault, a potential cover-up, all kinds of moving parts of that story. That's not something I treat as goofy drama. So again, I'm not going to go into super big detail on that whole situation, but I will say that that story has had a lot of twists and turns to it, where now all of a sudden the focus isn't even on the victim of the sexual assault or like the perpetrator accused of committing it. It's now shifted entirely to big streamers just pointing their fingers at each other and calling each other names and throwing as many debate term buzzwords at each other as they could possibly muster, and it is just kind of a mess. I again don't really treat this super lightly, so I'm not going to talk too much in detail about it. I'd recommend listening to Adriana Lee, the victim of the case, and get it from her. It's so weird. There's very clear evidence that I have mentioned it, and if you want even more, I do have a video on my second channel where I go into it more in depth after the OTK investigation came out, where I said I wasn't super satisfied and would have liked to see the actual evidence due to the severity of the case. I would have liked everything to be transparent so I could really see what happened here, because of how outspoken I had been about this whole situation with Ms. Kiff and everyone involved. But she couldn't be bothered to do any amount of research, even the fucking bare minimum, where if you just type in my name plus Mizkif, that video pops up right away. And I've talked about it on stream at length too, for hours. Like, it is something I very deeply did and do care about. She then makes another fucking lie, saying that I never talked about Rich Campbell or made a video about him. Well, once again, that was another horrifying situation that is not wacky, goofy internet drama that I usually will cover. So that was one I didn't make a video on, she's correct, but I did have a whole stream dedicated to talking about the fucking situation, which she could easily find if she just typed in my name plus Rich Campbell. Here's just a small excerpt from it. She's blatantly fucking lying in a video where she's calling out my supposed lies. And just when you thought it couldn't get more embarrassing, she's got one more final point to make.
Responded to this, to the promotion of porn to an audience full of minors. His response was, yeah, it's not a great decision. It's just one of those things.
Of course, advertising Fansly, OnlyFans or anything in front of an audience that has younger children on it, it's always going to be not a great decision. It's one of those things, yeah.
One of those things? Like it's a daily thing we all do?
Yeah, it's one of those things. One of those bad things. I don't know how you even interpret that statement as just another one of those days in the calendar. It's one of those bad things, those bad decisions. It's all so plain and clear. I know she's doing this on purpose to get a rise out of me, and it has absolutely worked. It gets under my skin because there are actually people that think she's being serious, and it makes me fucking upset. And it is entirely her fault for that, because she continues to play into this character that just says the most incendiary, off-the-wall nonsense shit and makes the worst points defending whatever she's trying to talk about. Now, I at first was very charitable, thinking that she was coming from a place of genuine care. That is obviously not the reality of the situation. So this is my full response to everything she said here, and hopefully this will be the end of it, because, again, if she really does care about it, then we're on the same team, because I think it was a problem too. I don't think it was a good thing that Fansly got promoted at the Streamer Award. I've said it a lot. I've said it now again for the millionth fucking time. So this is, once again, me just defending myself from hypocrisy allegations, but there are real things you could criticize me for, like not making it clear enough in the beginning. That is something I do regret. I should have been a lot clearer with how I felt about it, and I feel like I missed the mark there, but hopefully all this is cleared up exactly where I stand on all of it. I'm tired of her pretending that because Ludwig's my friend, I've defended QT. I haven't. I've done the opposite. I have said I don't support it. So I don't know why she keeps running with that narrative and trying to push that agenda that is just not the truth, which is very ironic considering her whole video is about how I wasn't being truthful. So it's wild. This whole situation is just stupid. Really fucking stupid. That's about it. See ya. Over the last year, I feel as though there's few channels that have exploded to the same degree as Outdoor Boys. It's a channel that's been around for a long time, but only recently have so many people found and fell in love with its content. Wholesome, adventurous fun. And now today we have to say goodbye for good. I guess, okay, phrasing there is maybe a little misleading. It's not like we're saying goodbye because they've shed the mortal coil. Like, it's not a funeral service. No one's dead. It's Outdoor Boys has announced that he is going to be stepping away from content creation.
Hey everyone, this is going to be my last video for a little while.
No sugarcoating it, no foreplay, just immediately popping a squat and hitting you with the cold water. Now, I know I've talked about YouTuber retirements quite a bit over the last year and some change because it's been happening quite a bit. And it is always sad, but I do think that there's always something bittersweet about it. Demo Ranch is also another channel that recently announced his retirement. I talked about that quite a bit on stream. It's just one of those things where even though you love the content and you're going to be sad that it's over, you can't help but be happy for the person who's making this decision. Because what it means is that this person did what they loved for a long period of time, and now it's put them in a position where they're able to step back and focus on other personal aspects of their life, some very special things, the most important being family.
You know, I've been making YouTube videos for 11 years now. First with the Catfish and Carp YouTube channel, then with this, the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel. And believe it or not, I've made 1,110 videos. It's been a wild ride. The amount of time and energy that I've dedicated to making YouTube videos is hard to communicate.
Briefly reflecting on the amount of time and energy he's put into the platform and all that he's created, he talks about the wild ride and the unforgettable memories that he's formed with his family as a result of this journey that he's been on and shared with all of us. And I know a common lukewarm take you see every time a YouTuber announces they're stepping away is like, "Oh, it's such an easy job, I can't believe it. My heart really breaks, world's smallest violin." Because a lot of people love to belittle the work that YouTubers do or what goes into it. But I feel like in this case, it is undeniable the amount of passion and the amount of time and energy that he has spent making incredible content. Like what I do, you can easily shoot some spitballs at and make fun of. Just sitting here in my swamp, blabbering and getting goofy every now and then for a little while as like the bread and butter content. Meanwhile, this fucking trooper, this gladiator is out there in God's country camping with pneumonia, building a 5-star log cabin resort out of nothing but a box of scraps like Tony Stark, all for the sake of going on fun adventures with his family and entertaining his audience.
So many late nights editing and packing and unpacking, camping with pneumonia, building log cabins while injured. But it's been a tremendous adventure and it's allowed me to provide for my family while making wonderful memories with my wife and kids. But even good things can be taken too far, and I think I'm starting to reach that point.
This is actually something kind of similar to what Demo Ranch said when he recently announced his retirement. There does come a point where the thing that you love, you want to stop doing it as much because now it's starting to take away from other things you love. And in this case, with Outdoor Boys and in Demo Ranch's case, it's family. Like, you don't get time back. You will never get time back. And what they do is laborious. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time that is now being taken away from what you could be spending with your family. So I think it's an extremely admirable decision to go out on top and say, you know what, I've reached the point where I'm financially comfortable, can provide for my family thanks to the support from the community here for all this work I've put in. Now I want to dial it back and be able to live in the moment with my family and grow with them.
But I'm not just talking about the time and energy I spend making YouTube videos, I'm also talking about the attention it brings. In just the last 18 months, this YouTube channel has gained about 12 million subscribers. The sheer volume of fans trying to contact me, trying to take pictures with me, or just trying to come up and talk to me in public, can be a bit overwhelming at times. And my wife and I, we both have real concerns about what this will do to our family if I keep growing my YouTube channel at this pace. And the time to stop is before this problem gets so out of hand that my family and I can't live normal lives.
Now, as I mentioned, this is a channel that's fucking smoked a neutron star cigarette when it comes to popularity. It has absolutely gone ballistic. It's gained so many subs and so many views. He also mentions tons of other views outside of the platform from people that have just stolen his content as well. So his content, his family, like, they've been viewed billions upon billions of times, and they have a concern for what that might look like in their lives going forward on like a day-to-day basis. They want to be able to live normal lives. That makes so much sense. And in order to ensure they can do that, he wants to step away from this. So that way it's no longer just constantly putting them in the public perception, putting them in the public's eye. He wants them to just be able to be a family, a standard, normal family. I think that shit deserves the strongest round of applause. It takes so much chutzpah to come out and say and realize that because it's become so successful what he's doing, there is a chance it could have a negative effect on his family, and he is doing what he can to make sure it doesn't. I've always said that I believe there's a lot of negatives that come from having your kids and your family in front of strangers so frequently. I feel like there's a lot of unhealthy things that are associated with that and that can arise from that. So for him to come forward and say, you know what, we do have concerns about this, so for the interest of my family, I'm going to, call it here and, ride off into the sunset. I think that takes a lot of strength. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Now, there's more than one reason for making this decision, and I still enjoy making videos and I still enjoy going on ventures, but it's time to start focusing on other things. And that's what I'm going to be doing. For one thing, I've got 3 little boys who all want to be YouTubers, including my oldest son, Tom, who's got his own channel, the Outdoor Tom YouTube channel. But I want to spend more time helping him with his channel and preparing him to be an adult, which is going to be in less than 6 years. But I've spent so much time focusing on me and my family and growing my business. It's time to step back and focus on helping other people for a change. And I'm excited to see where that takes me.
Again, I think that's great. Now, instead of focusing on his channel, his business, he's going to try and help others. He's going to focus on helping his kids fulfill their dreams. He just seems like a great dad. This guy just seems like such a good guy. He makes the coziest content, absolutely blows up on YouTube. People love him, his family, the content they make. And he's like, you know what, guys? Really appreciate that. But we want to ensure that we get to live normal lives. So I'm going to stop doing that so much on this channel. Instead, I'm going to focus on helping my family, helping my kids do what they want to do. That's so sweet. That is super sweet. He also does mention that he has some other half-finished videos in the pipeline and he might film some other adventures, but if he does decide to do that, he will post them all at the end of the year, and that this video will still be his last video for a long while, an indefinite period of time. And the reason I wanted to talk about it is because we're seeing a lot of these over the last year and some change. It's becoming pretty common for YouTubers that have been around the platform for a long time to finally just make the decision to stop doing it as much, or stop doing it altogether in some cases like this. And I think, of course, this will continue to happen as more and more YouTubers reach a point in their life where they have enough money that they don't need to grind as much as they were, even if it's something they love doing, and they'll eventually make the decision to step back from it to focus on other personal aspects of their life. In most cases, I would imagine it'll be family, because that is the most important thing. So I just think it's very sweet, and while it is sad to see the Outdoor Boys channel come to a conclusion, I'm still happy that he is happy, and that this decision he makes is one that he's excited for. And he does finish the video with a positive message to everyone that I think is just very sweet.
Now, I know there's some of you out there who've gotten more than just entertainment from my videos. If you feel my videos have helped you in some way, then go out and find someone you can help. I'll see you guys later.
So yeah, wishing the best of luck to the Outdoor Boys whole family here and whatever they choose to do going forward. Just wanted to talk about it a bit because this is a channel that, like a lot of other people, I only recently started following and really enjoying the content of, and now it's already at its end. So yeah, I just want to talk about it a bit. That's it. See ya. Join me on a little adventure for a moment because I'd like to talk about dreams. Not as like a psychologist or anything. I'm not about to hold up Rorschachs and ask you what you see in the ink blots and try and tie it to like some trauma from when your high school bully put your head in the toilet and flushed it. I want to talk about dream jobs specifically. Because 20 years ago, if you asked a child what their dream job is, you'd probably get some silly things like a professional ice cream tester, getting paid to try different ice cream flavors. But now, if you ask pretty much any kid in the world what their dream job is, all of them will probably give you the same answer. YouTuber. Or more broadly, online content creator, so streamer, YouTuber, things like that. And it's a dream job for more than just children, obviously. There are people of all ages that very much want some kind of online presence as a career, and it's just become a very sought after occupation. There are more people hunting after an online career than there were assassins hunting after John Wick. And the reason I mention this is because there's recently been a rise in the frequency of large content creators expressing burnout, as well as just being completely miserable by the content creation grind, needing to take long breaks, or just outright announcing that they're quitting altogether. In fact, that's what we're talking about today. That's the subject that I want to go over because Tfue just made a very heartfelt video saying goodbye to his audience, talking about how all the decade-plus long grind he's been embarked on has kind of made him feel like his life is slipped away from him. He doesn't regret any of his choices, but he recognized that he spent the majority of his life just behind a computer screen and wants to really finally feel free to live the life that he feels will be the happiest for him. So he made this video, which is kind of like the ending credits to like a franchise finale, where it just goes over the, best of moments throughout his life online. And he says that he's kind of just hanging up his hat. He's retiring the jersey number. He's stepping away from streaming and making content. If he doesn't know how long, he says he'll likely be back at some point, but it won't be for a long time. Again, if he ever does come back at all. And this isn't the first big content creator to say something like this, and just within the last week. PewDiePie also recently made an announcement about how he finally feels free from the content grind now that he lives in Japan, he's got his baby. Like, there are a lot of examples of this over the last year alone of huge content creators that are just kind of ready to move on from making content online. And I wanted to go over why, because again, this is a dream job for so many people. And this is something I've always said, and I'll once again scream it from the mountaintops here. Being a YouTuber or a streamer is the luckiest position you can ever have, and in most cases is legitimately easier than 9-to-5 jobs outside of the internet or other positions that exist outside of the internet. When you are an online creator, for the most part, you get to choose your own hours. It's very flexible on what content you're making or what you really want your online footprint to be. You are in control for the most part, which is a luxury most people, 99% of people in the world, don't get to experience. So how could there even come a time where someone's just like really tired of it or made miserable by it? And I kind of just want to look at that. Because it's not like these creators are geriatric now. It's not like they spent 40 years in the industry and they're just finally ready to just say, kapui, I'm done here. Like, these are still young people. Tfue's 25 years old. He has been online for over a decade, though. PewDiePie is in his early 30s, and he's been online for over a decade as well. So they have been in the industries for, pretty much since the infancy of this whole space. But they're not, like, super old. So how does it get to the point where they're just really that done with it at such a young age? That's what I kind of want to explore here. So, in Tfue's video, it's a very honest and open look at what his content creation journey felt like, where he was streaming all the time, making videos all the time, and he felt trapped by it. Now, he does mention something that many people aren't going to sympathize too hard with, and I understand why. He mentions that having to stream 6 to 8 hours a day every day was brutal and draining. And a lot of people will recognize that that's kind of just normal 9-to-5 job hours. Like, that's less than 9-to-5 job hours, and most people don't have a job that they love, or a job that's fun, like playing video games, and they're certainly not making millions of dollars playing video games for the 6 to 8 hour period, right? So it's something that a lot of people kind of roll their eyes at, and I do get it. Because, again, it is a dream position. However, it doesn't, nullify his feelings on it, being forced to play basically 1 or 2 games, or basically just one type of game forever, otherwise viewers drop off, being forced to never really take a break because then you lose so many subs. Like, it is still a draining thing for sure, in a different way. You kind of become a prisoner of consistency, or else you risk taking a big hit to your income for the month. So it is a mentally damaging thing to feel forced to do shit you don't want to do for a long period of time, which I'm sure a lot of people in the normal working world can also relate to. Let me give you a quick example. I stream daily, and I've streamed daily for the last 6 or so years. However, 2 months ago, I had to take 4 days off. Well, it's not like I had to take it. It wasn't like a fucking government mandated vacation or anything. I usually will only take like maybe 1 day a month if something came up and it was too late to stream. So very rarely will you see me not online for 4 days in a row. That's apocalyptic vacation time for Charles there. That's that shit where the audience got concerned and like, damn, we might need a search and rescue team. Like, Charles might be in trouble here. This could be a message, a deeper message. So I had 4 days where I didn't stream in a row because a lot had came up and I just really wasn't able to. And when I did come back, I lost 8,000 subscribers. 8,000 subscribers out of the 26,000 subs I had at the time just vanished in an instant because I took 4 days off from streaming. And I still haven't gotten them back. It's not like they all just came back once I was online again. Now, this isn't some complaint or pity party here because I recognize how unbelievably lucky I am to be in the position that I am. I am one of the luckiest people in the world to be able to do what I do. So this happening wasn't like some kind of shock or something that made me upset or anything like that. This was something I absolutely knew was coming after 4 days off because I'd seen it happen to so many other large creators. This was one of the main motivators behind Ludwig's subathon, if I remember correctly. He took like a week-long vacation and lost like 10,000 subs and kind of panicked to try and get them back and did the subathon. I remember Tyler1 made a quick statement on stream after a short time off where he's like, man, I lost 15,000 subscribers. And this is just something that happens if you're not there every single night, basically, on streaming. Since the online audience is always frothing at the mouth for content, they'll find other streamers elsewhere to fill that void because it's such a competitive space. Maybe they come back, maybe they don't. And maybe they do come back, but they don't have a Twitch Prime, right? Like, there's just so many things at play that do ultimately have a big impact on the person's income when they're a streamer, which is why you very rarely see streamers take a long vacation, or even if they do take a vacation, they still stream during it. Because it's kind of scary not to, because even just taking 1 day off can result in a drastic decline overnight, basically. So for Tfue to talk about this, like, I understand the perspective where if he wasn't streaming every single day, and I know he had a Twitch contract, so he also had minimum hour guaranteed that he had to hit, which I imagine was probably like 160 or maybe 180 hours would be my guess, but I'm just speculating. If he's not doing that every single day, it's hard to make up those hours, and it's also hard to hold on to his audience and that subscriber base. So it could absolutely be a really mentally shitty thing to go through. So I understand why that would be frustrating and make him feel like, you know, he can't really set aside time to do other things that he wants to do outside of streaming. And in the video, he said something that I think is a really interesting look at how the perspective shifts once someone reaches that level and is kind of trapped doing the same stuff. He said that in the beginning, gaming was an escape from reality, but now reality is an escape from gaming for him, because it's now just become something that he is completely obligated to do and isn't finding enough joy in anymore to make it feel like he's spending his time in a good way that makes him happy. Now, he's in a very fortunate position where he has generational wealth. He has oodles of clams, millions upon millions of dollars that he can use to live his life to the absolute fullest and do the most thrilling shit imaginable if he chooses to off the internet. And I think he recognizes how lucky he is, because there's countless people that would love to just leave their 9 to 5 to be able to explore what makes them happiest. And that's fundamentally what Tfue's doing. He's just in a fortunate, lucky position that he is financially secure enough to just step away from his job, his career. And this video is just letting his audience know, like, guys, I really appreciate the support, but it's time to move on to the next chapter of my life, which I think is a totally respectable thing. Now, this is a question I get asked a lot, and especially more recently because of so many YouTubers doing things like Tfue is, making these announcements about very long breaks or all this burnout that they're experiencing, or just outright calling it quits. I've been getting asked if there's ever a period that I plan on stopping, you know, making videos or streaming. Because I've been making shit online since 2007, so it's been a good 16 years here. I actually started in 2006, but I've told all those stories quite a bit. I'm not just gonna give you the lore dump yet again. But, you know, I'm starting to get a little gray in the face here. So is there ever a time where I just plan on calling it quits? And my answer is always a resounding no. Me making shit online is what makes me happiest. I have always been doing this shit because I have fun doing it. It's never been like an obligation for me or something I feel forced to do. I've just always done it purely for the love of it. So I couldn't imagine a time where I just hate it and like get made miserable by it and need to step away or something like that. But I always understand people who do. And I think one of the main contributing factors to that I've discussed a lot is when a creator gets kind of pigeonholed into one type of content and they feel like they can't branch out from it, it leads to them getting really made miserable by it, feeling forced to keep doing one thing forever. No one wants to do the same song and dance a million times. Eventually they want to try other things, but online, taking that step to try other things is extremely scary because it comes with a really real risk of losing a lot of your audience or making things that they won't enjoy or, just driving people away. And that's your entire career. That's your livelihood. You can't really take chances like that for a lot of creators. So it's always a very difficult thing to do, but I think it's the most rewarding thing as well. Because there's very few people that will be content making the exact same thing that they've been making for a decade. It takes a very strong mental to keep doing the same shit forever without wanting to try other things. But again, for a lot of creators, they feel like they need to, and I think that's what really leads to a lot of that burnout and that feeling of needing to take breaks, because the endless grind monotony of just doing it all day after day, this fucking same stale routine, gets to be draining. So I really think that a lot of the big contributing factors that make other creators burn out, I don't really have myself, because I do such an incredibly large variety of content and so much different shit. Like, literally, we just started a wrestling league, our own wrestling promotion a few months ago that we're going so hog wild with. Like, we're constantly doing new things. I'm constantly trying different types of content, doing all kinds of wild shit. So I just never really experienced that. Now, of course, I can't speak for like 40 years in the future here, but I just don't really envision a time where I'm going to stop having fun making things. So right now, I don't foresee a future where I just call it quits on creating content or anything like that. But again, with all of these other creators that are talking about this, I really do get it from their perspective on how it gets to that point, even with a job like YouTubing or streaming, a dream job. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to go over this whole topic here. I'm wishing Tfue the absolute best, and I hope whatever he decides to do now post content creation is something that makes him extremely happy. He deserves it. Everyone deserves to pursue what makes them happiest, and Tfue is in a lucky position that he gets to do that. So wishing him the best, and anyone else that's recently announced breaks or calling it quits on content creation, I hope whatever they choose to do next is something that makes them feel very happy. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it. That's about it. So yeah. I want to give all of you a follow-up to a situation I covered a little while back in regards to a popular YouTuber and a potential charity fraud situation. This is about the Completionist and his charity, Open Hand Foundation. I'll give you a super brief rundown on the lore here to bring you all up to speed in case you don't know what I'm referring to, but the Completionist is a huge YouTuber. He owns a charity called Open Hand Foundation. It was formed after the death of his mother, who passed away from dementia. A tragic situation, and this charity was started with the goal of helping to combat dementia. And for the last decade or so, he has run fundraising events with his community in order to collect donations that he has stated will be used in the fight against dementia. However, after an investigation was conducted by Some Ordinary Gamers and Carl Jobst, they found out through all the public filings, since this is a charity organization, their filings are public, they found out that all of the money they've collected over the last 10 years has not moved from the Open Hand Foundation. It's all sitting in an account. Even though the Completionist has always led his community to believe otherwise, that they are actively donating to a bunch of different places, and even name drops a lot of places, despite never actually sending a penny from the Open Hand Foundation. Now, after all the dust had settled from the initial videos, there were a lot of people like nematodes from SpongeBob coming forward saying the same thing. You're not legal experts, you're not accountants, this doesn't matter. And referring to like Mudahar and Carl Jobst when they reported on this, because no one wanted to accept that it's possible that the Completionist engaged in bad behavior. I wanted so badly to believe that all of this could be chalked up to some kind of accounting error or something easily explainable, because as I mentioned, I've had a lot of respect for the Completionist in the past. But now, with where the situation currently is, it's extremely hard to see any type of fantasy land where the Completionist and the Open Hand Foundation is somehow totally innocent from the claims that have been made against them. So that was the situation boiled down to the most bare bones of it. It got a little bit deeper since then, and I'd like to cover it here just to give you the full update. So, since that initial set of videos from Carl and Mudahar, the Open Hand Foundation has donated $600,000, which is great. However, most people, myself included, believe that that would have not happened had those videos not been made about them. It was the result of public pressure. It doesn't seem like this just was a big coincidence that they happened to donate it now after all of this outrage. So, it's a net positive, though, that they finally have donated the money, but there was a lot more that was uncovered throughout the investigations, and the Completionist came forward to deliver an official response on all of this. And I have to say, his response is a bunch of horseradish. I watched it when it first dropped, and there were so many contradictions that he said in that response that it made it extremely difficult to believe anything else that he says going forward. For some reason, what he said was enough to convince his audience of no wrongdoing, and it fries my fucking brain trying to comprehend how anyone could have walked away with that perspective. He admits fault for potentially misleading people on the purpose of the Open Hand Foundation and where the money goes, even though he blatantly misleads them. He explicitly said that it was going places it wasn't. That's not just like, hey, I'm sorry you felt this way, or I'm sorry you got all of these dumb ideas in your head, you bunch of fucking dummies. You picked up these breadcrumbs I didn't mean to drop. Sorry you did that. You blatantly misled them. The Open Hand Foundation is a middleman. They take in money from his community and they donate it to other causes that help in the fight against dementia. So his only goal with this was to take that money and donate it, which he wasn't doing for a decade until, of course, all of this outrage. But in his response, he keeps making it seem like that was always part of the plan. He said that basically they were waiting for a restricted donation where it was a lot of money where it'd make a meaningful impact. And I think that, again, is a bunch of dirty barnacles. You never fucking said that. In fact, in the interview he did with Mudahar and Carl in the first video they made, it directly contradicts what he's saying in his response, where he was saying like, oh, we just didn't know that the money hadn't been donated, and we were waiting for the right benefactor. That whole restricted donation amount narrative, that whole side quest hoopla, that mumbo-jumbo never came up until his response, so it seemed like they were really just trying to fish for some kind of excuse. It just doesn't seem genuine at all, and it doesn't make any sense, because if that was always the goal and what you were waiting to do, you probably would have disclosed that to your audience, right? Like, I would think any sensible person would. Now, Carl Jobs just dropped his video covering all of these claims, and I can't recommend it enough. I'm just giving you my perspective from what I saw from his response, but Carl dives into the weeds of it. He gives you all of the receipts, all of the evidence, all of the proof, and I think there is no way you walk away from Carl's video believing that the Completionist is totally innocent in all of this and it's just one big misunderstanding or a giant whoops-a-daisy moment. It really does seem like there were some shady things going on in regards to the fundraiser as well as to how the funds were handled. And I see a lot of people saying, this is just Carl's side of the story, and it's just not. We have the Completionist side of the story. We have that interview that he initially conducted, which for some reason people keep forgetting about and just writing off as, just a nothing burger. He was panicked and under pressure, so his statements can't hold any water, which I totally disagree with. Those statements are still important. But we do also have the official response now. So this isn't a case where we only have one side of the story. No, we have all sides of the story. It's just Gerard's side, the Completionists, has more holes in it than an orgy on Brazzers. Like, there are so many problems with his statement that don't add up. And the receipts and proof that he brought forward in his response is kind of just unrelated to a lot of the claims that have been made against him. Like, I don't know how that was enough to convince anyone that he's like some kind of angel, like a saint, not guilty or anything. Like, he didn't disprove anything really, except for one claim, which is that the papers, some of the documents, weren't signed, which is something Carl admits fault to in his follow-up as well, that he was wrong to state that the documents weren't signed. Gerard did prove that they were signed. But that's a very, very small component of the claims against him. I want to show you a clip from Carl's video, which contains a clip from the Completionist video that was the biggest alarm for me, that sounded all the sirens in my little noodle up here. It's something Gerard says that directly indicates that he has lied. I'm actually shocked he even has this in his response video, because he is openly admitting to being untrustworthy with some of the things he has claimed throughout the fundraisers, as well as potentially now.
And Gerard admitted this in his response.
Income from Twitch subscriptions and bits, along with merchandise, have offset some of the production costs. So to say the money is missing is simply wrong.
This was shocking to me. Does Gerard not understand that he is admitting to embezzlement here? To be clear, a charity using donations to cover expenses isn't illegal. It's totally normal and common. But that's not what Gerard did. Gerard lied to the public and said that this money was going to charity and that he wasn't touching any of it.
Bits, subs, YouTube memberships, or YouTube super chats, anything that supports us is going to the foundation at the very end.
As a reminder, all bits and subs, including Amazon Primes, go towards the charity as well. So it's all a pass through, all going for a good cause.
Gift subs, memberships on YouTube, super chats, all that goes to the charity as well. And hey, if you want to get a t-shirt, all of the proceeds from the shirt also go to charity.
Your primes, your gift subs, your bits, donations all go to charity. We don't take any of it.
For years, the Completionist has said all of the bits, the memberships, the subs on Twitch, merch sales, bit donations, if you fucking put $1 on a rock and throw it out of your window and hope that it reaches us, all the money raised throughout all these streams is going directly to the charity. We're not touching any of it. He even explicitly says those words. And yet, in his response, he admits that that money, through those means, was being used to offset production costs. That's totally different than what you were telling them the money was going to be used for. As Carl mentions, there's nothing inherently wrong with using some money to offset costs for like a big event. That's pretty commonplace, but usually that money comes from like a sponsor backing, but even if not, it's usually disclosed that a portion of the money donated will be used in that regard. So that way the audience knows. You keep them updated on exactly what the money is going to be used for and how. That's the most important part of being a charity, knowing where the money goes as a donator. And for Open Hand Foundation, for 10 years, the money wasn't going anywhere except into a bank account to collect fucking dust and grime and cobwebs. Like, I bet by the time that this money was donated from Open Hand, the bank was like fucking stunned, like, wait, are you sure? We were under the impression that whoever had that must have like traveled the world and never came back or something. It had been sitting for so fucking long idly. And as a lot of people mentioned, the money isn't worth as much now as it was when it was initially donated because of inflation and everything. It would have been better to just keep donating it every year. Yes, it is still a good thing that the money was donated. Absolutely, that is a win for sure. So there is at least a positive outcome here. But it's still not even where this rabbit hole ends. Carl and Muda also discovered that they do these golf events that raise a lot of money as well. And a lot of money isn't accounted for in like what the bank has in total. There are just so many things that still don't have a real answer from the Completionist. It's just such a fucking sad situation. Charitable fraud is so foul. Just exploiting people's kindness, taking people's willingness to help others and wiping your ass with it. It is evil. And whether or not the charity fraud here is on purpose or on accident, and I lean more towards it being on purpose with all of the evidence provided here and everything that keeps coming out. And even if it was charitable fraud on accident, that's not exactly just like a mistake people make. It's not like one of those things that's easily something to move on from. Like, ooh, Jiminy Christmas, hey, sorry guys, looks like I committed charity fraud. Ooh, sorry about that. Yikes, I didn't mean to. Like, it's not something that people be like, oh, okay, hey, no worries, happens to everyone. Like, it is still a fucking big deal, even if this is all somehow the result of just being extremely bad at managing a charity. It's still an awful situation and extremely fucking sad all around. I'm happy the money got donated, some of the money got donated, but there's still so many more things that need to be accounted for here. I highly encourage all of you to watch Carl's video. He dives into all of it, and I think it's an extremely important video to watch, because there are so many more things to this story. So, huge hats off to Carl and Mudahar for their work on this situation. Without them, I don't think that money would have ever actually made it to a real cause. So, great work from them, and I am glad to see they didn't back down in response to the Completionist, like, fucking flexing on him, like, okay, then I'll take it to legal court then. Because at the end of the Completionist response video, he puffs out his chest and makes some vague threats to legal action against them for it, and I'm glad that they didn't cower away from it, and they just went harder into what they have found through their investigation. I think that is a great thing, and I think it is an overall, like, positive that they're trying to deliver on. So, I'm going to keep my eyes on the situation, of course. I just wanted to bring you all up to speed on where this is at. Again, please check out Carl's video if you want to know all of the specifics. This has all been very surface level for me just to bring you up to speed on most of it. But anyway, that's about it. See ya.